And in just a few moments, we look forward to being joined by Jose Theodore, who is the newest Washington Capitol goaltender after signing a free agent deal to bring him to the nation's capital, scheduled to meet with the media here in Washington at about 2:30, but we are going to get him first and exclusively on Sports Talk 980 in just a moment. And it's interesting, Brian, when you look at the stats for Jose, there's no question that you can make the case that he and Cristobal Huet from about January 1st on were pretty much identical. And what you do see with Jose's numbers are some amazing beginnings with a Hart Trophy as MVP, Vezina Trophy as the best goaltender, and a man who certainly has rediscovered his game in Colorado and now brings it to the nation's capital. Jose, first of all, welcome to the John Thompson Show and welcome to Washington, D.C.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm really happy and excited.
Tell me about this decision, because as we're watching this from afar, the Caps in negotiations with Cristobal Huet, when do you think you got on the Capitals' radar and vice versa?
Well, I think obviously I knew that the Caps were negotiating with Cristobal, and I was talking to Denver. And when the 1st of July were approaching, I saw that neither I or Cristobal was signed. So then I started to think that maybe I'm not going to sign with Denver, and same thing with Cristobal. And Washington was my first choice, just because how can you not like this team with all the youth and all the great players they have for a goalie? That's something you want to be part of. So I was pretty excited when the chance kind of opened up for me to come here.
When you watched those guys last year, Jose, is it the offensive power, or also some different defensive things that really got your attention?
Well, I think obviously it's the skill level and the drive that they have. When we played them here, I think they were all out for 60 minutes, just skating and shooting from everywhere. And I remember playing against him. We ended up losing 2-1, but I said, well, these guys are great. They're playing really, really strong. And as the year went on, even towards the end of the season, they just picked it up to another level. So, like I said, when you're a free agent as a goalie, you want to win games. And I think Washington is, we're on the right track, obviously.
You know, it's interesting that you say that because we hear it all the time. Those of us in the media, fans, always hear about players saying, well, I'm looking for a good fit. I'm looking for someplace that's comfortable. And to no discredit to anybody, you guys are doing this for a living. So, this is not volunteer work. You are getting paid for it. But I am intrigued to hear you talk about that was really important to you, to who you're playing with and where you're coming, as opposed to just who's going to pay you the most money.
Well, exactly. And I think, you play the game since you're a kid. You want to win, and I was lucky enough early in my career. I had some individual award, but that's not why you play the game. And I think as a goalie, you need the support of everybody. And in Washington, looking at what they've been doing last year and how they've been going up in the last couple of years, I had really confidence. And even last year in Denver, I remember with the guys, we used to watch the game, and everybody was saying how Washington and Pittsburgh are an exciting team to watch. So when I saw that I had the chance, I didn't look back. I didn't even want to talk to no other teams. I just wanted to say it's a done deal.
Al already said all the different accolades that you have coming in, and you say you have this team that's unbelievable. What do you see transpiring or happening this year? Your exceptional goaltending and the guy like Alexander Ovechkin on the squad. Do you anticipate this team can get back to the playoffs where they were?
Oh, for sure. That's the goal for sure. I think, like you said, with the skill that they have, with the leaders, even though they're young, they just signed Sergei Fedorov, which is a great leader. He adds a lot of maturity in the team. And, for myself, I think the second half last season was as strong as I ever played. So I'm really confident, and I'm really optimistic about the start of the season. And I'm sure we can create a lot of surprises.
We're talking with the newest Capital goaltender, Jose Theodore, joins us here on the John Thompson Show on Sports Talk 980. I was mentioning earlier, and you just touched upon it, some great individual awards. Doesn't get any better than the trophy that Alex just won. The Hart Trophy as the MVP. You were the Vezina Trophy winner as the best goaltender early on in your career. And I know numbers can be misleading. If you just only look at somebody's win-loss record, save percentage, goals against, it doesn't always tell the story. But when we see that kind of almost rather dramatic drop-off from being one of the elite goaltenders, at least statistically, down to where your save percentage was in the 880s, 3.46 goals against. It seemed to kind of turn around this year. How would you relate over these last 4 or 5 years from where you were earlier in your career to where you've gotten back to?
Well, I think obviously, you know, after the Hart and Vizina year, I had some good years. I went back to the All-Star game, but I think I had two years that was really hard for me. Obviously, like I reached the bottom, like you can say, and I think in a career of 10, 15 years, you need sometimes to have those years to really realize what you need to do to come back up, and you kind of build yourself back up. And it took me 2 years. I got to say I had 2 really bad years, but you know, I just realized that you don't take your skill for granted. You have to work at it. And last year was, like I said, especially when I started to play at I think I played 37 of the last 40 games. I think that was the pretty much one of the best stretch I had since I won the award. So I'm really confident. But obviously, the 2 years I think it was a great thing in my career just to realize that it's nothing for granted, and you got to work at it to maintain a high level of play.
You know, Jose, it's interesting. Last week we were out at the AT&T National Golf Tournament, that Tiger Woods golf tournament, and every golfer we spoke to, particularly the young ones, talked about the things that are starting to separate them and their success on the PGA Tour is much more mental than it is physical, that they can all hit the shots. It's just the belief, it's the confidence, it's all of those intangibles. Was that the situation with you? Was it really as much about between your ears as it was about anything you were doing physically and things on the ice?
I think physically it's not. You don't lose your technique aspect. I think for sure it was mental. But playing in Montreal market, it's great. I had a great time there, but it's also really tough. And you know, it's the best way to compare. It's like being the pitcher for the Yankees, and that's Montreal was great to me. But the last couple of years was tough. Some things happened on and off the ice, and it was just hard to really focus. And I kind of lost that focus and that interest just with some distractions. And then going to Denver, it took me a year to gain my confidence back. I worked really hard with the goalie coach there, and I just came back last year with the mentality that you know, I got to bounce back because it might be my last chance. And now I'm pretty happy I did that, and I feel good about the next season.
As you think back to the things that you did, you know, a lot of, and maybe some people that may be dealing with some of those situations at this point, was it just getting back and starting to practice more on your skill or your game, or was it some different mental things you have to do? Because I'm talking to so many guys now in different sports. Everybody seems to be using these mental coaches and these sports psychologists. Did you even check into something like that?
Well, I thought about it, but I just I think what happened was we had the lockout year with no hockey, and you know, I played after Christmas in Sweden, but it's on the same level. And when the NHL started, it just seems like I lost that extra edge that you know, you could go out there and dominate. I just didn't get that feeling back, and I was looking for it. I couldn't find it, and then it just snowballed and losing your confidence. And once that you prove to yourself that you can dominate, and you're ready to go, and that's when you get your confidence back. And that's pretty much what happened. I think it took me a couple of years just to get that little edge back and that confidence that I could dominate game in, game out. And now that you have it, you want to make sure you don't lose it.
Jose Theodore, Capitals goaltender, with us here on the John Thompson Show, Sports Talk 980. So you and Brent Johnson now will actually be the two goaltenders who can probably sleep most comfortably at night knowing you won't have to see number 8 bearing down on him when it really means something. What is it like to face Ovechkin? What, in your mind, particularly as a guy who has to face that type of player, makes him so difficult, makes him so special?
Well, the first thing I said when I signed is I'm anxious to practice against him, because I think if you stop him in practice, you feel pretty good about yourself for games. And that's the way I approach it when I played against Sakic in the practices. You know, you play against the best player in the league. I mean, if you're able to stop him in practices, there's a good chance you're going to stop the other guy. So obviously he's a power forward. He has everything. You know, when I played against him, he shoots from everywhere, hard shot. He skates. He goes in front of the net. He's just fun to watch, and I'm sure that I'm going to even enjoy him much more now that he's on my side.
Well, it always helps. Jose, listen, we know you've got a busy day ahead of you, meeting with other members of the Washington media, but thanks for taking a little time to be with us, and we'd love to get you back on the John Thompson Show as the season progresses.
Oh, for sure, that's the deal. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. Good luck.
Appreciate it.
Jose
Good luck,
Theodore, newest Washington Capitol goaltender, joining us.